You know who he is, but he's burned, and he wears a weird hat, and the red and green sweater really dirty, and he uses these knives like giant fingernails.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Geek Demon Online. I am your host, the one, the only, the immortal
Geek Demon.
And joining me today is, back by popular demand, Lady D. Hey you guys! Hey you guys! Or Sloth. I'm with Sloth today. How you doing, Sloth? But, wow. Anyway.
Sorry.
Wow. Okay, D. I can see you're in that kind of mood, huh? We're in that kind of mood. All right. Well, today I want to bring up another horror movie, but before I do, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
I see this. I don't even know why I have to ask. You're all, like, your face is red now, you're smiling, and...
Well, my face gets red when I laugh.
Yeah, I noticed. But, yeah, good. I'm glad to hear you. Glad to see you smiling. Glad you're back.
Me too.
Last time we were together, we talked about Night of the Demons, a horror movie that I liked.
Yes.
And I want to bring up another horror movie tonight. But before I do, there's been talk, why am I doing horror movies? Why do I love horror movies so much?
Okay.
And the fact of it is, it's something me and my dad bonded on.
Yeah.
Like, me and my dad, I was a mama's boy. Anytime my mom would go shopping, I'd go shopping with her. She would go leave the house, I was right there in the passenger seat to go. Right? It was 1980s, we went shopping. We were doing this, we were doing that, we were running around. But my dad, he was a homebody. He didn't like to go out, he didn't like to do anything, he just kind of stayed home. But me and him bonded on horror movies. And I remember we would go to the video rental store.
I thought you were going to say voodoo store.
We went to the voodoo store, but we'd go to the video rental store. And we'd always pick out an action movie, like a Charles Bronson or a Steven Seagal movie for Mom. I'd pick out a cartoon or something movie, usually My Little Pony. Don't ask.
Aww.
Yes, I rented that more times than I care to admit.
It was Care Bears.
Okay, touche. But then me and him would go into the horror movie section, and we'd grab like a horror movie or two that we want to see. And we did this so many times that we watched the entire selection of horror movies that this video rental place had at least twice.
Yeah.
But we would let Mom watch her action movie. Then I would watch my cartoon during the day. But then me and Dad would sit down together and watch a horror movie. And the way I watched the horror movie was through fingers.
Well, then, I'm going to just put this out there. Maybe your dad watched the movies with you in the wrong order. As a kid, when you're that scared, you should watch the horror movie and then something
cartoon?
very light.
Yeah, well, we didn't think of it back then. But I used to watch, as I said, the movies through fingers.
Yeah.
Which means I would sit there with my hand over my eyes like this, with just enough crack between two fingers that I could look through it to see the movie. In case in point, here's a good example. If you watch the Halloween movies,
yeah,
you can hear when something's going to happen because it's kind of like good music. Then all of a sudden you hear dun 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 dun, and that's Michael Myers is going to come out.
Yeah,
he's going to show up. So I would sit there with my hand over my eyes, and when I hear that music, I would close them. Close my fingers. And then my dad would tell me when it's over. But I always got suckered. Always. I would sit there, I hear the music. As soon as I hear the music, I would close my eyes, and my dad would be like, "Oh, Ken, it's over." And then I'd open it up just in time to see someone get killed.
Yeah.
Like, Dad! No! But that's how I grew up. I watched horror movies with my dad.
Yeah.
And it just became a love, a passion. Like in high school, I wrote zines. You know what a zine is? It's something that they don't talk about anymore these days. But a zine is like like a homemade magazine.
I've heard of what was it, LiveJournal? I've heard of that.
Oh no, this is pre-LiveJournal, my friend. This is like fans of bands used to make these. People like in the goth punk era used to make. It's basically you're making a magazine at home on paper. Like you take cutouts of stuff and you photocopy it, and then you make multiple copies and you hand them out.
Okay, yeah, no.
Yeah, I used to make what's called zines, and I made zines of horror stuff. Like I would go every day at lunch period. I would skip lunch to get to the library so I could get to a computer so I could look up like behind the scenes facts and information on horror movies, like how much blood was pumped into this scene and who acted in this scene and what led to this and what led to that. I used to go to talesfromthecrypt.com back when there was a talesfromthecrypt.com.
Yeah.
Like I was all into horror. And it's just what I grew up. It's how I grew up. And that's why I love horror movies. And that's why I'm bringing you guys these podcast episodes where I'm talking about horror movies, because it's what I do. And you guys don't have to listen to it. You can turn, yeah, see, I just lost another listener. They just said, fuck you, we're out of here. You guys can leave. I'm not forcing anyone to listen to my podcast. But if I'm going to do a podcast, the Geek Demon's going to do a podcast about stuff that he can talk about.
Yeah.
And it's going to be horror. And today, I picked another movie. I'm going to throw one at you that I know you love. So let's talk about A Nightmare on Elm Street.
I've never seen that.
What? Say what?
I'm kidding.
Say?
Of course I've seen it.
Woman, let's talk about this, because how are you going to sit there and say you didn't see it but then have dreams?
Don't you dare talk about my dreams.
Talk about your dream, man.
To be fair, the one dream I had was I fell in love with Robert Englund.
Why? Why?
And yes, he was an old man in the dream.
He still is.
Well, what I'm saying is he wasn't young Robert Englund. He was old Robert Englund.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Because he's Robert Englund. It doesn't matter, man.
But we won't talk about your dreams of loving Robert Englund or whatever. We're going to talk about other people's dreams, including The Nightmare on Elm Street. This movie came out, I want to say, early 1984. I want to say the first Nightmare on Elm Street was 1984.
Okay.
And it stars people like Robert Englund.
Yep.
Phones are going off like crazy here today. But Robert Englund.
Yes.
Heather Langenkamp, who used to be, I think, in 8 is Enough. I think it was either 8 is Enough, or she came from a sitcom.
Okay.
And she came over. There was a few other notable actors and actresses, including the first movie appearance of a young Johnny Depp.
I thought you was going to forget him, and I was going to not forgive you for that.
No, Johnny Depp makes his first movie appearance in A Nightmare on Elm Street. But here we go. Nightmare on Elm Street. We got Elm Street, of course. I'm going to bring up something a little bit later to discuss about this.
Okay.
But you've got Nancy. She is a high schooler. She has a group of friends. It always seems to happen around teenagers. For some reason, all horror movies are teenagers. If you can get past your teenage years, I think you're okay.
Yeah.
Like, you'll survive a movie.
Yeah, I mean, because otherwise he would have went for the parents.
Right. But anyway, her and her friends are having these nightmares. And they all revolve around a guy wearing a green and red striped shirt, a brown fedora, and, as they said, a glove with finger knives.
Yes.
And slowly but surely, one by one, their dreams become reality.
Yeah.
In the case of when they die in their sleep, they're dead in real life.
Yeah, but not just that. It's everything that happens in their dreams is happening to them in real life.
Mm-hmm.
So if one of them gets cut, that cut appears on them.
And that's basis of the story, because at one point, one of her friends had her boyfriend over, and in the middle of the night, while her and her boyfriend were sleeping, she gets attacked by Freddy.
Yeah.
And as she gets sliced and diced and everything, and her parents are trying to bust in the door to see what's going on, he freaks out because he's seeing his girlfriend get murdered in front of him by nothing.
Right, she's all up on the ceiling and everything.
He takes off running, and the police go searching for him because they think he's the killer.
Yeah.
But Freddy makes sure that ship gets sailed whenever Freddy takes him out in the prison cell.
Yep.
And then, like I said, one by one, they're taken out until the point that they find out why Freddy, and of course, if that's the killer, right, Freddy Krueger, but they find out why Fred Krueger is attacking all these children on Elm Street. They find out that it has something to do with the parents of Elm Street. And Nancy then takes it upon herself, with the help of her boyfriend, a.k.a. Johnny Depp.
My guy,
who wears a belly shirt in the film, by the way. It's like a crop top.
He had the belly for it, so...
I guess. And this is talking like a pirate Johnny Depp, mind you. This was English-speaking American Johnny Depp.
You don't insult
Well,
him.
I only say that because you watch it, you can see a little bit of Johnny Depp in him, but you don't hear the Johnny Depp in him. Everyone knows Johnny Depp nowadays is like, kind of like Captain Jack Sparrow talking, because he has that British accent that he gained from living over in England.
Yeah.
But this is rich and famous Johnny Depp. This is American Johnny Depp that you're going to hear.
Yeah.
So, yeah, be prepared. You might be like, which one's Johnny Depp? You'll see him, but you won't hear Johnny Depp. But, yeah, he's in the film. And, again, it comes down to Nancy and her boyfriend to try to stop Freddy Krueger. Do they? Well, I'm not going to tell you if anyone survives and who dies. But I will say that the ending has you questioning a lot of things.
Yeah.
And it has spawned 7 sequels?
Yeah, so I think it's safe to say, and it's not going to give much away, really, but I think it's safe to say that there's no really permanently stopping Freddy.
No, they're just kind of putting a pause in his plans for at least like a decade.
Yeah.
Like a decade. He's like, God damn it, I gotta attack the other kids that come out now. These kids are too good for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it has spawned. Oh wait, there's Nightmare on Elm Street, which spawned Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge, Nightmare on Elm Street 3, which is my all-time favorite, The Dream Warriors. Then you have...
You just like the boy who plays Dungeons and Dragons.
He is the Wizard Master! No, my favorite is that one, for the fact when Freddy grabs him.
Yeah.
And he's like, sorry, kid, I don't believe in fairy tales. And kills him. It's like, wait a minute. A guy who kills in dreams doesn't believe in fairy tales.
Well, that's because he's not a fairy tale.
Oh, he's a legend, though.
Yeah.
But anyway, Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Dream Warriors. Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master. Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child. Then Freddy's Dead, which was supposed to be the final nightmare.
Yeah.
But then comes the resurrection of Freddy and a whole new look, a whole new spin when they make Wes Craven's A New Nightmare.
Yeah.
Then, of course, they did the crossover, Freddy vs. Jason.
Yeah.
And then the movie that shall not be spoken about much, the remake of A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Right. Now, I have to say, it wasn't bad because the actor's a bad actor.
No. Jackie Earle Haley took the helms of Freddy at that point. And I believe I will A Hill to Die On.
Yes.
Is that the term? Not stand on, die on.
Yeah.
A hill that I will die on is people can replace Freddy. There can be someone that replaced Robert Englund.
It's just a lot to live up to.
There is a lot.
And they have to pick the perfect person.
Yes. And I think Jackie Earle Haley was trying.
Yeah.
I don't think he was the right pick.
Right.
Now, later on another episode, we will talk about a fan film that we saw that had like the perfect person to play Freddy.
Yeah.
And, we'll talk about the other movies, but Nightmare on Elm Street was oh my God, it was such a good film. And it had so much to do with, like, a lot of people don't realize this, reality. Because not only was Fred Krueger based off of a childhood bully.
Yeah.
That Wes Craven had when he was growing up.
Yeah.
But the whole idea of people sleeping and dying in their sleep was an article he read.
It was very loosely based off of true events.
Yeah, it was like an article that he read about like some Asian guy that died in his sleep because he had nightmares and he ended up dying in his sleep or something. And that's where they got the idea of Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
Every episode of Nightmare on Elm Street deals with Freddy Krueger, deals with the dream deaths. It's a great series, and this movie started it all.
Yeah.
There is a lot of rumbles nowadays. People are saying, hey, we want to see a new Nightmare on Elm Street. For the fact that it's been so long since we've seen anything Nightmare on Elm Street.
You know what would be cool? Because Robert Englund has said that he doesn't want to do it anymore. He's too old.
Yeah, he's done.
But Freddy is, like, it could be taken, picking up, or, hold on. Taken over by somebody else. It would just have to be the right person. What would be cool is if, even though he didn't want to do the movie, if he could help in choosing the actor to play him.
Kind of like a passing of the torch movie.
Yeah.
I can and I can't see that. Again, we'll dig deeper when we talk about other Nightmare on Elm Street films. Because there's 7 of them. That's 7 different podcast episodes at some point. But there are dream demons involved.
Yeah.
In one of the films. And they just pass them along. They've done with Freddy. They're done with Fred. They take on another dream demon.
Like you said, other dream demons, maybe not another Freddy.
Correct. But that's here nor there. Nightmare on Elm Street. Classic film. Classic horror. When it came to Night of the Demons, I didn't say this. I didn't give it a rating. I would give Night of the Demons at least 1 thumb up. It's a classic horror movie. 1 thumb up. Only reason why it only gets 1 thumb is because it only spawned like 2 other sequels.
Yeah.
Not as good as the original.
Yeah.
As most sequels tend to be. And the remake was kind of blah.
Yeah.
Nightmare on Elm Street, however, I will give it 2 thumbs up because somehow, someway, it was one of those movies that, for a while, the sequels seemed to get better.
Yeah.
I will say, when it came to like the Dream Master, the Dream Child, the sequels kind of lacklustered a little bit. They started going downhill.
Yeah.
But up until 3...
I still liked them, though.
Oh, I still liked them. Don't get me wrong. And they're part of the story. They're part of the franchise. But up until 3, it seemed like each one was getting better.
Yeah.
So, guys, if you're listening at home, girls listening at home, fans, non-fans, you want to jump into a horror series, if you want to watch something that is scary-ish, and I only say scary-ish because when it comes to the classic horrors, if you watch horror movies today, they're not as scary anymore. But if you want to watch something... Yeah, well, maybe it's because I've watched them and then moved on that I go back and I'm like, okay, these aren't as scary. But today's horror movies are jump scare, jump scare, jump scare, jump scare.
Yeah, and that's the only thing that scares you.
Yeah, because it's jumpy. if they would do horror movies like they did back in the day, I don't know if I'd be as scared. Because horror movies back in the day build up the horror.
Yeah.
It was a build up. Where today's horror movies are like, there, in your face, bam, bam. Like almost all horror movies today is just jump. They don't have that slow build. Like Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
You see Nancy walking in her dream. You see her walking through the furnace room.
Yeah.
You hear the nails scraping across the metal, that sound of his blades going across the metal.
Yep.
You hear that. Before you see Freddy. You may even see Freddy before your character does. Before your hero does.
Mm-hmm.
It's a build-up to the slash. It's a build-up to Freddy going face-to-face with them and saying something. There's a build-up to it. Horror movies today is like, roar, the monster's in your face.
Well, it doesn't just start out like that.
No, but there's like very little build-up anymore. And if there is a build-up, it's seconds to the build-up. And there's no like slow build. There's no slow...
I think there's a reason for that.
Everyone's got attention deficit now.
You got to catch people quickly or else it's going to be boring for them. I'm guilty of this too. If movies that are too slow, I'll lose interest in.
Mm-hmm.
I can't watch one. So, like, if it's a quick build-up, like, if there's a build-up but it's a quick build-up, that's what's going to keep my attention.
Yeah.
But I do have ADHD too.
Yeah, see? Point. But I know. I get it. And I'm not dissing modern horror. I like horror movies. I will continue to watch horror movies. It's just Nightmare on Elm Street has that slow build-ups that I like. It's like the classic horror.
I love it.
Yeah, exactly. And so you guys at home, if you want to take a chance, you want to see a good horror movie and not be able to sleep after watching it. Because you may attack you.
It's literally the worst movie to watch and then go to sleep right after.
Right? Check out Nightmare on Elm Street, 1984, written, directed by Wes Craven, who has brought us everything from Nightmare on Elm Street, The Hills Have Eyes, The Serpent and the Rainbow, I believe was his, People Under the Stairs, and Scream. So, yes, check it out. Let me know what you guys think about Nightmare on Elm Street. And until next time, guys, remember to stay freaky, stay geeky, stay nerdy, and stay dirty.
Bye-bye.
Oh, bye-bye. Oh, bye-bye. Ciao. Sayonara.